All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Course Creator Community Podcast. I'm your host, Jono, and I am super excited because we have an absolute rock star on the line this week. Now, I know I say that about every guest every week, but this person actually is a rock star. He runs a very successful online course business that generates around $10,000 a month every month, and he's only had it up and running for about 12 months. So I'm super excited to hear this story. And also, before I introduce him, he's also documenting this journey as well in a blog. His blog is called coursefounders.com. I'll put that down in the show notes and you can go and check that out. But without further ado, let me introduce the one and only Mr. Elliot Zelinkas. Elliot, how are you?
Jono, good, man. Thanks for having me on.
No, I'm super excited to come on. I'm super excited to hear this story. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Elliot. Just start. Maybe give us a bit of background first. Let us know a little bit about what the course is that you've got at the moment. Don't have to give away the specifics, but a bit of an idea of what the course is, and then tell us that journey, man. Where'd you start? Why'd you start? And how'd you get to the 10K months?
100%. Okay, so I'm a third grade teacher. I still have my 9 to 5 job. And a year ago, I had to pass a test that would qualify me to get my official teaching license. And I did super well in college as far as grades go. I just worked really hard. But there are a number of tests to take in order to become a teacher. And I took the first and the second and the third and passed them all on my first try. And then the final test, I took it and I failed it. And then I took it again, and then I failed it again. And I just couldn't believe that I had failed a test twice, because I've never failed a test in my entire life except for this one. And so I kind of sat down and I re-examined what I was studying. And I looked at all of the study guides that I had previously purchased. And I realized that they were all published like 15 years ago. They're only printed in black and white. There's absolutely no diagrams or pictures or anything for a type of visual auditory learner like myself. And so I said, you know what? I am going to personally make the absolute best study guide that's like bulletproof. If you have to take this test, then you will pass it with this study guide. And that was for me, right? And then I took the test and then I passed and I was like, this is awesome. And I was like telling a colleague of mine, and I was like, yo, by the way, look at what I made. Because they asked, how did you pass the exam? Because they were preparing for it. They're a semester behind me. And so I showed them the study guide that I made, and their like eyes like lit up and their jaw dropped. And they were like, oh my God, you have to show this to someone. And I was like, you know what? I should probably publish it. And so I'm currently in Hong Kong. I teach at an American international school. And for anyone who's in Hong Kong right now, you know that there is a 2 or 3 week quarantine, depending on when you come here. And so I arrived here for a new teaching job last year. I got into quarantine. I had 2 weeks, and I actually found out that I passed on my first full day of quarantine. I passed this exam, and I was like, whoa, this is awesome. And so I took my friend's advice. I made a little WordPress website, and I used an application or a plugin called Easy Digital Downloads. And all I didn't modify or change my study guide at all. I just put it up online. John, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Easy Digital Download. Do you know that?
Never heard of it.
Okay, it's super cool for anyone who wants to sell a digital product like a PDF, not course, but a PDF. It's free and they don't charge you anything to sell it. It's an amazingly easy like plugin to use. And so I put my study guide up for $14.99. And I made the website in 24 hours. Like, I'm super bored. I'm all alone. I'm in a hotel. I'm doing quarantine. And I just like ripped on my computer and just built this WordPress website super quickly. And then I put it up online. And by 11 p.m. the second night, so on the like the 48th hour, I hit the publish button. I closed my computer. And then because of jet lag, I believe, like I woke up like a few hours later. It's like 3 a.m. It's like Hong Kong. And I just do what we all do right when you wake up. You like check your phone, like, just see if anyone messaged you. And all of a sudden it said, I got a sale. And I was like, what do you mean I got a sale? Because this was my first digital product that I've ever made in my whole life. And I didn't tell anyone that I made the digital product. It just had such good SEO because it has such low competition. And there's so many people that have to take this test every single month that someone organically found it, bought it, And then I was like, oh my God. And then within hours, another person bought it. And then it just kept making sales every single day since the moment that I published it. I couldn't believe it. And then, so I'm sitting there in quarantine and I'm thinking like, what else could I do? Like, clearly there's something here. And I've heard about online courses and I didn't know much about them. So I started to like dig into online course industry and how to make them, because I thought to myself, again, the whole purpose is to make it easier to pass this test. And as I mentioned before, the problem with the old study guides were that they didn't have any diagrams or anything. And I thought, well, mine did, but I can make it even better because I can put myself in front of the camera. I can visualize it. I can actually I can hand deliver how to pass this test using like all the information that you need to know in a video format. And so I made it again in quarantine, and then I published it. And then that just started taking off too. And then like, that's the intro story to it.
Wow, man, that's so I love that story. That's one of the best ones I've ever heard.
Thanks, man.
I'll share kind of my 2 cents on that. We were speaking about this offline, me and Elliot, where what we've kind of found is a lot of successful course creators are successful when like they've had a problem with something. It's similar with my story. You know, I used to be a personal trainer. I sucked at being a personal trainer, and then I did a whole heap of courses to learn how to be better at it. And then I was like, oh, how much better would it be if there was just one course that taught all of this stuff? So if it was someone like me come along again, they do this course and they don't suck. It's essentially the same story, same Genesis story that you've got there. So I
Exactly.
love hearing that,
Exactly.
man.
It's like take something that royally sucks for someone and help them do it easier.
Yeah, 100%. And I like it also from the course side of things, because I think a good course solves a problem. I think there's a lot of course creators that are maybe like, whatever, they're a good singer or they're a good piano player or whatever. And they're like, oh, I'm a good singer, so I'm going to put together a singing course. And that's okay. Singing courses can work, but it's so much easier if there's like a problem. If it's like Elliot had this problem and he's like, man, I've got this problem and there's no solution for this problem. Let me create that solution. So I love
Exactly.
hearing that
Yeah.
there.
Thanks.
Let's continue on, man. So what's kind of happened from there? So you put it on, you made sales straight away within 24 hours or 48 hours, and then you turned it into a course. And actually, price point at the course, is that still $15 or is that more expensive?
No, it's totally changed. I've really actively experimented with pricing, with branding, with colors, with
Well,
font.
actually,
I've been
you know what?
like,
Let's
this has
let's let's
really become,
well, let's
sorry,
continue
yeah.
on. Actually, let's just keep on that story then. So, what's kind of, I guess, the next thing? So you had a few sales coming in straight away. What was the next thing you
Exactly.
did from there?
Yeah. So what I did, okay. So first, maybe I can open up like what I'm using. So like I said, I first used WordPress for the blog and then easy digital download to sell the PDF. But then as soon as I wanted to create a course, I kind of looked at my options and I examined Teachable and felt like that wasn't really right. And
Yeah.
then I looked at Thinkific and Kajabi. And as you know, and probably
Yeah.
most of your listeners know, Kajabi is just so expensive when
Yeah.
you have no idea what you're doing and don't know if people want what it is. And so I went with
Yeah.
Thinkific because, I think my plan was free. It's
Yeah.
like free for the first couple of courses.
Yeah.
And so I did that. And it was a really cool, I enjoyed the learning of building and all of it. And then that kept making sales. So I bumped up my Thinkific account to like, now it's at a subscription and people pay a monthly fee for the access. So to answer your question, John, about the pricing, originally it was $14.99, and that got you the PDF study guide. And
Gotcha.
then every single month, I kept making more sales and I kept increasing the price. So then it went to $29.99 a month, and then it went to $39.99 a month. And then I started selling it for $99 a month, a one-time payment, and that went super well. But then at that point, I was like, okay, I know that it's not worth more than $99 because
Mm,
the test itself is just a little bit more. It's about $150. And
mm,
so, with this, I'm kind of stuck with the price because, of course, people don't want to pay more than the actual test.
yep.
Otherwise, you might just take it twice or something, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So after a one-time payment of $99, I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, I want it to be more accessible for the user and I want to build a smarter business. And so
Mm,
how can I kind of like aim at both of those objectives and kind of hit them. So I landed on trying subscriptions and it's been going really well because I can price the online course test prep lower than $99, but it's a subscription, so they pay every month, which also allows me to know who's using the program.
Mm,
Because if you are giving someone a one-time fee and then they have it forever, you never know. Like for this test prep, you don't need it forever. You only need to pass and then you don't need it again. So with the subscription, it allows me to know how long the average person uses the test prep for. And of course, if they're not going to use it anymore because they passed, then they end their subscription. And for me, it is actually ended up being kind of more fair for me, but also more fair for the user, but also a recurring monthly revenue source for me as the creator.
gotcha. And what's the price for the membership now?
It's $39.99 a month.
Gotcha. And they stay how many months on average?
Great question. It really ranges. You have the people who are really on it and they cancel the subscription like at the day 30 mark, which like, is great. I don't want anyone to be charged if they're not using it, because
Yeah,
of course that would create like unhappy people, even though the product is really good. But you do have a lot of people that seems like they just kind of ride with it. And I think like a lot of subscriptions,
Forget about
you have it for a couple extra months, right? So I think it's probably like
that's a good way of putting it.
yeah. So
That's
I
right,
think
Elliot.
the
I
average,
come from the fitness industry, right? That's gym
yeah,
memberships 101, you know?
exactly, 100%. And so I would say the average person has it for 4 months, so that would be about $120 each person.
Gotcha. Okay. And so you're doing give or take about $10,000, did we say from this?
Exactly. Yeah, this because we're recording this on the last day of the month. I've pretty much seen what August has been, and I'm like a pretty like, strong financial nerd. Like before
Yep.
I ever like started like online course or anything, I was just, on it for my salary and my savings. But I have been keeping like a pretty like, I guess, like an extremely diligent spreadsheet, and I can see the increase every month, and it's just been going up every single month. But yeah, like this month is 10K, and last month was just a little bit less than that, and it's just been an increase of about $1,000 every month.
Okay. So you must have what, about 200 members in there? 200, 300 members.
Let me see. At least, I mean, like right now, I bet I have, yeah, like a solid 100,
Yep.
but nearly like over 1,000 people have taken the course.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Cool, man. And it's just the membership now, right? It's not the upfront, or can they do both, or how does that work?
Yeah, so you pay for the access to the test preparation, and what I've added since adding the subscription is that there's there's a community for the people who are inside, which they really like, because
Yeah.
then instead of a Facebook group where you have all of these people who just haven't left the Facebook group, you
Mm,
also you have this paid community where you're only inside if you're currently enrolled, which means that you're currently studying. And so I see people say like, hey, I'm studying for this part of the exam. Can anyone check my written response? And like, it's been like a great, like tiny community for people to like achieve what they're trying to achieve, which is just pass this test easier, faster, like even better.
and that community is not on Facebook, did you say?
So I have a community on Facebook, and it's a good like lead in, because
Yep.
people search this test on Facebook,
Yep.
but this community is in Thinkific.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So the free community is on Facebook, the paid community is on Thinkific.
Right.
Awesome. Gotcha. All right. Cool, man. So, all right, that all sounds good. Let's talk about, I guess, the model a little bit. So, tell us about the marketing. Is it mainly just SEO? People are typing in this term and your website's popping up, or you got a social presence as well? How are you getting the leads?
Yeah. So 60% of my leads come from organic SEO,
That's
and about 30% come from YouTube. And then the other 10% is, I would say 5% is like Facebook. And then 5%, like kind of surprisingly, because I ask them when they sign up, like, how did you hear about it? Is that professors and their classmates have been like promoting this course
Mm,
to them. So that's about 5%, but yeah, that's the makeup.
love it. Okay, so a couple questions with that. your organic SEO, are you like an SEO guy? Did you do keyword research and optimize the website, or did you pay someone, or did it just happen? Like, how did that work?
So a little bit of both. So luckily, this test is a total bummer for a whole bunch of people every single month.
Mm,
And the crazy thing is that when I was in quarantine and I decided to make the test prep, or at least like pick at it a little bit, I checked GoDaddy domains, and the actual like the name of the test and
oh, that's sick.
test.com was available. So
Yeah.
like let's just take a test that like everyone knows. And I know that you're from Australia, but you probably
Yeah.
know it too, like the SAT.
Yeah.
You know
I know
that,
the
right?
yeah, I know the SAT. Yeah. I see him
Okay.
on
So that
American
would be
college
like
movies.
exactly, yeah. Right. So that would be like me going to GoDaddy and just searching like sattest.com, and it's available. So I
Mm,
own that for the test that I take. So I have like extremely good natural organic SEO from my domain name.
yeah.
Secondly, because there's almost no one surprisingly writing about this test,
Mm,
every single post that I've written, which is about a total of 20 blog posts, show up on the first page of Google after an hour I publish it.
mm. Love it. Well, I'm
Yeah.
a bit of an SEO nerd myself, and I've just done a quick look here on SEMrush, and I'll give the numbers for some of the listeners. So from what I can see, there's about 2,400 searches a month for this test, right? To put it in
Mm,
perspective, my major course at Fitness Education Online, they're called CEC courses over here, fitness CEC courses,
mhm.
continuing education course. I think in the teaching world, you call them PD courses, professional
Exactly.
development courses, that sort of stuff, right? There's about 100 searches a month for fitness CEC courses, right?
Mm,
For Elliot's, there's 2,400 a month, right?
yeah.
Have you heard of SEMrush at all, Elliot?
I have, yeah, and also Ahrefs, which is like a
Yep.
competitor of theirs.
Yep. Well, I'm on SEMrush now. The competitive score is 23%, right? So it's 0 to 100. If it's 100%, it's like impossible to rank, You've got
Right,
23%, which is
right.
like, super good.
It is
So,
super good, but to build off what you're saying, Jono,
yeah.
when I started, it was 10.
Yeah, okay. There we
So
go.
I think that additional 13 is my site.
Yeah, probably. So and I think so there's a few good things going on. And yeah, and just for the listeners as well that aren't maybe that SEO, well, I'll give sort of my take on SEO for listeners to take away from this. So to have, in my opinion, to have like good SEO or to make sales from SEO, your course needs to be something that people are searching. It's fitness CCs, it's SATs, it's learn piano, it's got to be something that people are searching. And the
Totally.
more specific, the better. The
Hmm.
advantage that Elliot and someone like myself has in the fitness CEC world are people are searching that to take a course.
Right.
Let's use for example the term learn piano. That would be good if you had a piano course to rank for learn piano, but people typing in learn piano aren't necessarily looking for a piano course. It is pretty related, but it's not as good as like piano course, or piano
Exactly.
course online. So
Exactly.
that's
Yeah.
that's one thing there. You want to have a high search volume for people that want to buy your course, and then also the competition side of things there as well. And then in terms of like SEO, there's many different factors at play, but one of the most powerful things is the actual domain, and that's what Elliot did. He bought the
Mhm.
domain with that name on there, which is going, which if you do the right things, it'll come up high. So that's awesome. Um, YouTube, is that the same sort of thing? You named your channel after the test, or how? Tell us about
Exactly.
you.
The
Yeah, same
Yep,
thing.
the YouTube channel is the name of the test.
Awesome. Well, I think that's just you've found an opportunity. It's
Yeah.
like there's an opportunity there. You've done it. So I love that there. Okay, so all that marketing sounds good, and it sounds like from the sales side of things, it's just a buy. People just Google it and they're like, "Yep, this is what I need." I buy it, or they YouTube it. Maybe they watch a few videos. They're like, "Yep, I just want to buy this thing." Is that the sales process? Like, there's no emails or webinars or DMs
Exactly.
or sales
No,
calls.
it's so straightforward. No webinars. I don't even collect emails. They come, they buy, they go. That's it.
That's sick, man. This sounds like a
Yes.
very good business model. Okay, and so the membership is the membership is basically the course, right? There's
Correct.
no and the community. There's no like like live Zoom calls. There's no lives. It's pretty much just the course, right?
Totally self-paced. Yep. And then you get like access to the community, but I make it really apparent in the website that you are learning like as a group. Like I'm not there to like be your instructor, but of course I chime in like a lot,
Yep.
with questions that they have because it's a pleasure.
Yep.
But it's there's no like let me check your practice test, or there's no one-to-one work or anything like that.
Love it. So, in terms of like the way I look at any business, Elliot, I look at it in like four different sections. There's the marketing, the sales, the delivery, and the admin. It sounds to me like you spend very little time on the admin side of things, very little time on the delivery side of things, zero time on the sales side of things, and maybe a little bit of time on the marketing. It's what are you doing, like a blog a week and a YouTube video a week, something like that?
Exactly. Yep, that's exactly
Man.
it.
So how many hours a week would you say you're spending on this course business?
Well, to be honest, like the business just last month, like is kind of like in concrete now.
Yep.
But for the past 3 months, I like revamped the course. The course was great. It was exactly the material that I used to pass the test. But I noticed that I could make it even better. And so as a teacher, I had the last summer off, and I took the summer to just like make an insanely good test prep. I mean, I
Mm.
just what I did is I added practice tests, and I just made it even better. So the last like 2 months, as I was redoing and just like adding to the course, doesn't really count because I put a lot of time into it. And then
Mm.
the last month, as I said, I've been really working on this for 3 months. The last month was trying to optimize everything that I could do in order to automate as much as I could. For example, I experimented with like getting Thrivecart as
Yep.
well as group leads. So
Yep.
like everything would be automated, and like the whole like idea was to honestly like build a machine.
Mm.
So I built it, and then I think people build machines and then forget that you can take their hands off the controllers. But
Mm.
that's my goal, is to build and take my hands off so that it actually like runs even slicker without me. And so that's what it is now. And I would say now my goal was to do this by the end of August. So for the past month, I would say I almost don't touch it.
That's awesome. That is a good business model. 0 hours of work and $10,000 of revenue.
Yeah.
And $10,000, and I'm guessing the expenses must be pretty low as well in terms of like software. You're still on Thinkific, I believe. You're probably
Correct.
paying 100, $200 there a month.
I think
Any
it's I'm at $80 a month.
80 a month. Okay. Oh yeah, I'm thinking of Australian dollars. Okay, so about 80 a month there. Any other expenses, or what about software? Is it just Thinkific you're using? You got anything else?
Yeah, so I do have a pro plan to Canva.
Yep.
That's where I make the slides,
Yep.
and that's about $10 a month.
Yep.
I think I paid like for the year, so it might be like $8 a month, but yeah, about $10 a month. And then, as I mentioned, I did get group leads, and
Yep.
I found that for me, unless I didn't figure something out, what I really needed it to do is like group leads can take a set of people and accept them based on criteria. We're talking for Facebook group, right? So
Yep.
they
Let's just give a bit of background, Elliot. I've never used it, but I've heard of it. It's
oh, okay.
essentially for people that want to join your Facebook group. This will automatically accept them and put their emails in your database. Is that what it does?
That's exactly what it does. Yep.
Okay. Yep.
And so my goal with so for anyone who's not familiar, group leads is like a little machine used for Facebook groups in order to automate and get more information from them, so then you can email them and stick with them. But from what I learned is that group leads can't, and I'm afraid to say this because I might be wrong, but I couldn't find a way that they would then accept the people in the Facebook group. And then what I really needed was to send an automated welcome message like
Mm.
to the group. And I don't I couldn't figure out a way to do that.
Mm.
And also I realized that this test prep model, you really don't need people's email addresses because they either want it or they don't. It's not like I'm nurturing anything. They have a test that's already scheduled, and in something like 30 to 60 days, they need this product. And so they either buy it or they don't. They either buy it or they buy it from somewhere else. It's not like where you're nurturing a group for a year and then suddenly they're like, I trust this person, and then they buy this thing. So group leads, I think, can be awesome for a certain type of business model. I just don't need it, and so I'm no longer using it. But as far as other software goes, I think that's it. It's like just Thinkific, WordPress, and that's it.
That's awesome. Okay, cool. Cool, man. So I mean that's pretty much all I wanted to cover from that side of things there. There's just a couple questions I like to finish up with. The first one is in regards to mentors. So I'm curious who your biggest mentors have been in the course creator, online marketing side of things. And if you could answer this in 3 different ways, Elliot. If you could answer it in terms of a paid mentor, to someone that you've paid money to, you've done their course or their program, whatever it is. An unpaid mentor, so someone that you haven't paid money to, but you listen to their podcast, you follow them on Instagram, you watch their YouTube videos, whatever it may be, and a book that you recommend everyone should read if they want to be a successful course creator. So mentors, paid, unpaid, and book.
Cool. Okay, so I've taken 2 courses. The first one I took was Matt Diggity's Affiliate Lab course. That was super good. That's an SEO course. It honestly made me kind of like an expert on SEO, and I took that a year ago. It has helped me know exactly what to do if you come across a project like mine, where all of a sudden you gain traction. So instead of asking myself like, oh, what do I do now? I already knew. And so that's been super informational and helpful. So again, Matt Diggity's Affiliate Lab online course. And then I've also taken copywritingcourse.com, and that was really good too. And copywriting is, super valuable, and it's interesting what you can do with just changing words around. So those are the 2 courses that I've purchased in the past. As far as non-paid people that I really look up to, I honestly, this whole journey of like just starting a blog and everything started from my buddy Brandon. I just have to say, give him a shout out. I won't say his handle or anything because he's this kind of entrepreneur that just builds businesses and isn't interested in getting recognized for it or anything, but I just have to because he's a buddy of mine and he really helped me out. But another person who probably would like a follow is this guy named Peter Levels, and he's just a creative maker. So he's always making apps, and I really like following him. So if anyone's familiar with Peter Levels or they're just interested in making stuff online, he'd be a good follow. And then as far as mentors, like a podcast, the first podcast that I really got into for business and online business is called Tropical MBA. And I definitely have to give them a shout out. They're just super cool. They've been in the game for a long time. And what I really like about them is they don't pretend to be a guru or know what they're doing. In fact, they're kind of just like sharing their story as they go along, and they've become pretty successful. So I like that. That's called Tropical MBA. And I think that's it.
Cool, man. So
and a book. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah,
a book.
Yeah.
Again, I think this is probably really played out, but the book that also kind of motivated or spurred all of this before all of the things and the people that I talked about before is that book, Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Workweek. And that idea of creating a machine has is now embedded in me. And yeah, that's a classic for me.
Yes, love that book. I think that's a classic for a lot of people. The amount of people's philosophies that books changed is amazing.
Yeah.
So, question, Elliot, what's next, man? You're gonna create another course? You're gonna go harder on this course? You're gonna keep teaching? You're gonna quit teaching? You're gonna grow the course creator blog side of things? What's next for you?
Cool question, man. Yeah, I'm really excited because the doors are wide open. As I mentioned, I still am teaching 9-to-5 job, and I signed a 2-year contract when I got here to Hong Kong. This is my final year, and I won't be continuing teaching because this experience has just shown me the light, right? I think everyone needs to have one successful business, and then you can like go off and do more of what you want. It kind of gives you the skills and the confidence. And so what I want to do is I want to take what I've learned and learn how to scale. And so what I'm doing at the moment is I'm building a team of people who can help more teachers pass tests easier, because no matter what state you're in, teachers need to pass tests. And so what I'm doing is gathering like a kick-ass team of smart teachers, and we're just making test prep, and I'm learning how to scale it as I'm taking myself out of the business, and I'm learning to work with people more and plan ahead of time. And these are all things that normally I would just open up my computer and like write the blog post right then and there and then publish it right then and there. But this is a little bit more organized, and it's challenging for me, but I'm learning a lot. So I've created a kind of mother company for teachers test preps, and I'm building that, scaling it. And then, as I mentioned, or as you mentioned right at the beginning, thank you so much, Jono, I have been writing a personal blog about what I've been learning, and that's at coursefounders.com. And what I want to do is create a really small, tight group of course founders who are already making money and already have successful online courses, but they also want to scale. Because again, I want to do this with people, and I'm going to have 100 questions, and they're going to have 100 questions, and I want to have a place to put them in like a small paid community, because again, paid communities are just so different. They're only people who are doing the actual thing, as opposed to a free community where you get people who are kind of wafering in there. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep learning and keep building and hopefully keep growing.
Love that. Can I give a suggestion in there, Elliot, that may
Please.
be something else to add on? Because I'm just thinking it's not that different what you do and what I do, right?
True.
And I love the CEC side of things. And I'm thinking maybe that could be an opportunity there as well. Like if if you're building going to have a whole database of teachers that have passed this test, and you know they're teachers, like that's a valuable database, man. You know, whether it's you or your colleagues creating, the PD courses that you can say to teachers, hey, here's your lesson plans, or here's your PD or whatever. Or it could even be just collaborating with people that already have them. Like there's people that already have, PD courses for teachers. Might be like, hey, I got this database of 1,000 people, do you want me to sell the PD course to them, and we split it 50-50? That could be an option too.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, hey man, that's pretty much all I wanted to cover. So there's going to be a lot of people listening to this. They're like, this guy is awesome. He's inspiring. He's cool. I want to follow him. Is the best place just to check out your blog, or should we follow you on social as well? What do we do there?
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Elliot Zelinkas, but because my name is so long, Twitter doesn't even allow like all the characters of my name. So the only other social that I have is Twitter, and you could follow me. It's Elliot Zeli. It's just like part of my last name. So ELLIOTTZELI. And that's my Twitter handle, but it's also on the blog coursefounders.com, and that might be just easier to get to.
Awesome. Yeah, I feel you with that surname, man. Now I know why Gary V is Gary V. I
That's
should have
right.
just gone Jono P with everything. Would have been way easier. All right, well, cool, man. That's all I wanted to get through. Is there anything I should have asked you but forgot to, or anything you want to finish us off with?
Honestly, I just want to say thank you for having me. This has been awesome.
No, man. Super inspiring story and great to connect.
Cool. Appreciate it, Jono.